Welcome back to the vlog. Thank you for clicking on. This is day number 5 in Texas, and we're currently up $3,535. We've been battling in the 1-2 streets the prior vlogs, and we're going to be battling in 1-2 again. Let's go! It's a Saturday in Dallas, Texas, and we are playing tournament poker. I bought into the 365 at Texas Card House, but quickly busted that. Then I came over here to Poker House to play the $300 deep stack tourney and got it in really good here. Jacks versus Ace Jack for a lot of chips until the river. After busting out of the tourney, we decided to go play a cash game. We're in for $500 playing 1-2. I looked down at pocket 10s on the button straddle, and this table is crazy. There's an under the gun raise blind to $15, and there's 3 callers over to the small blind, who decides to 3-bet to $85. The action folds back around to me. I'm on the straddle. I get last action. I wish I would have went for the 4-bet here, but instead I just decided to play a pot in position. I put in the call, and I think that's fine play, but I would prefer a 4-bet. We're heads up to a flop here, which is king high, king 9-3 with 2 clubs. I would expect the small blind to bet this board a lot, but when he checks it over to me, I don't see any reason for myself to bet, so I check it back to see a turn card, which is a harmless deuce of diamonds, pretty good for us. And when the small blind checks it over to me again, I think 10s are going to be good here a lot. The only 2 hands that I could see him checking that have us beat are queens and jacks. So I decided to get 1 street of value on the river. So I check it back. The river is the deuce of spades. When the small blind now bets out for $60, I'm never going to be folding. I'm never going to be raising. So I stick in the call and we lose to pocket jacks. It was one of those 2 hands that I was worried about, but that's okay. We're going to shake it off and move on. We add on for $200 more and look down at pocket jacks ourselves. There's 1 limp and the button makes it $25 to go. We're in the small blind here. We're definitely going to be 3-betting. I typically use a 4x sizing when I'm out of position. I make it $100 to go, and the action folds back around to the button player, who thinks for a little while before jamming his $204 stack in the middle. I'm definitely not going to be folding 2 jacks here. I stick in the call, and he pretty quickly shows us the bad news that we ran into pocket aces. Right off the bat, running big pairs into bigger pairs. We run 1 board, and we lose this $412 pot. Not a great way to start the session, and like I said, I've had a rough day already. Busted 2 pretty big tournaments, and immediately lose 2 pretty big ones in the cash game. But that's okay, we're going to battle back. We add on again for $200. Been card dead for a while. It's been a pretty rough session after that pocket jacks hand, but we look down at a suited Broadway king queen of clubs here. There's 1 limp. I make it $25 to go, and the early position limper puts in the call. We're heads up to a flop, which comes ace, king, jack with 1 club. It's going to be great for my range, so when he checks it over to me, I feel like we should bet range on this board. Even though we don't have an ace, we can still get value from draws, worse kings, maybe a jack. So I bet $20, and my opponent quickly folds ace-8 face up, which is pretty strange. That kind of just tells you that I haven't been playing many hands and I look like I'm super tight. I like when players do this because it gives me a really good idea of what my image is on the table, so I can take advantage of players, definitely if they're over folding. I mean, if you call ace-8 and you hit top pair, you definitely got to continue at least on the flop, or you're going to get exploited way too easily. This leads us to the next hand. I'm definitely taking advantage of my image in this one. I look down at ace-3 of spades. There's an under the gun raise to $12, and an under the gun plus 1 3-bet to $40. And then the hijack puts in the call. The action is on me. We are on the button. The under the gun player is an extremely loose player, and the player in plus 1 is my buddy, and I can tell that he's trying to take advantage and isolate this under the gun player. So when the hijack puts in the call, it also just gives me a lot more dead money, and I go for the big daddy squeeze. I make it $155, taking advantage of my image. Nobody's seen me do this all game. They've only seen me show up with pocket jacks and pocket 10s and really strong hands. So when the under the gun player folds and the plus 1 folds, the hijack folds as well. Everybody gets out of the way, and I tell them they can pick 1 card, and luckily they flip over the ace. Our image still stays intact. Nice to find a little squeeze spot there, picking up about $95 without seeing a flop. Real quick, if you guys want to play with me, I'm doing a private game on my Club GG every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, playing 1-2, splash around, have a good time. Everything is in the description if you're interested, and let's get back into the vlog. Moving on to this next one, we are in under the gun plus 2, and we have king 10 of clubs. I raise it up to $20 and get the hijack to put in the call. Heads up here to a flop out of position, which comes ace-8 jack with 2 clubs. We flop ourselves a pretty nice looking combo draw. Not only do we get a draw, but it's a great board for our range, so we're definitely going to bet this board. I make it $20, and the hijack deliberates for a little while, but eventually sticks in the call. The turn now comes the Jack of Spades, and I think this is a card that my whole range wants to just slow down on completely. This card is going to hit the hijack a lot more than it's going to hit me, so I slow down and check, and the hijack decides to see a river card. So he checks back, and the river is a bada boom, bada bang, 4 of clubs. We drill it on the river. We have the nut flush. So I'm definitely going to be betting here. 88 in the middle. I'm going to bet around 75% pot, make it $60 to go. Hoping to get called by an ace, maybe a non-believing 8. But when my opponent raises me to $175, all of a sudden I don't feel too good about my flush. This is definitely a tighter player at the table. He hasn't been in a whole lot of hands. I haven't seen him get crazy out of line, but I don't know. I just don't see myself folding a flush. The only hand I could see him having here is pocket 8s. I would assume he would raise 2 pair on the flop or the turn, like Jack 8, Ace Jack. And who knows, maybe he rivered a boat with pocket 4s, but I think we have to call all of our king high flushes here. We probably have to fold some of our lower flushes because it is possible that he could be value betting a queen high flush, a jack high flush, or like 9-7 of clubs, 5-6 of clubs. So I think we do have to put in the call here with the king high flush, which I do in the moment. I stick in the call, and we get shown a full house. Ace Jack. Pretty gross. A really, really, really big slow play from our opponent. Just calls flop, checks back the turn, and punishes us on the river. Just a brutal river card, and that's just kind of how this day is going, man. It's not a very fun session. We add on again for 200. I don't think I wrote down all the times I added on because I believe I'm in for around 1,200 or so. But we are going to try to battle back. We didn't come to Texas to just give up. We look down at Queen Jack of clubs. We're in the big blind. The hijack raises to $12 and the cutoff 3 bets to 25. Now, I think this is definitely some of my tilt coming into play. I don't think it's ever good to be cold calling 3 bets, but he made it very, very small. The hijack is that player I was telling you about earlier who is under the gun, and he's very, very loose. He's very wild. Looking back at this hand, I definitely would much prefer a 4-bet or a fold, but I decided on the worst option and called. The hijack came along as well, so we're not too mad about that. So we're going 3 ways to a flop, which is not bad. It's not great. King, Queen, 9, rainbow. We have middle pair and a gut shot, as well as backdoor clubs. But I check it over to the hijack, who checks it to the cutoff, who checks it around. So we're going to get to see a free turn card, which is a good one. It's the 7 of clubs. We improve to the queen high flush draw. Still, I think I should just try and take my queen to showdown here. I don't need to be betting. I check, and the hijack bets out for $50. When the cutoff folds, the action is back over to me. I think I could go for some check raises here if I didn't have a pair. Since I have a pair of queens, I think I can just call here and evaluate a river, which is what I do. And the river is a wacky one. It's the Jack of Spades. We get 2 pair here, but any 10 is going to make a straight. I check it over to my opponent. I'm definitely going to call a bet knowing how wild this player is, but he decides to go all in. And it's not a small one. It's $350. The pot is only $176. He just jammed 2x pot in my face with a one-liner, and I'm sitting here with an average 2 pair. What do we do here? We know this player is wild. I don't really know. This is such a sick spot. He could have any 10 in the deck. I just decide to fold my cards. He's nice enough to show us his hand. Quite surprised, to say the least. He shows us Queen 7. So was he shoving for value? I have no clue what this guy was thinking, but it was kind of a sick bluff. I honestly don't know what was going through this guy's head, but we're card dead for a long time. We're bleeding and adding on and bleeding and adding on. It's just the way things are rolling tonight. Myself and Funky Punts have created a poker community on Discord called Raze Poker. There's over 500 members, and we're always talking about poker and lifestyle and ways that we can help each other make more money and grow to be better at the game. So if you want to check that out, the link is in the description. It's a really great place, even if you're brand new to poker, you don't know anything about it, or if you're advanced and you want to talk, you want to study, it's a great place to do that. So check the link down below. I'm in there talking every single day. And now let's get on with the vlog. Trying to keep my composure and still play my best poker. I'm on the button straddle with 10-9 of hearts. The low jack makes it $15 to go, and the small blind calls. I'm on the button. You could 3-bet this sometimes and try and get heads up in a pot, but I think in position, I'm going to play this one. I stick in the call, and we're off to a good flop, finally. Jack 10-9, rainbow. We flop bottom 2 pair, and the action checks over to me. I'm going to bet 2/3 the size of the pot here, sizing up. Definitely need some protection against some draws on this board. So I make it $30 to go, and the small blind decides to stick in the call. We've narrowed it down to heads up, and we're off to a turn card, which is possibly the best card in the deck, the 10 of clubs, giving us a full house. I'm just crossing my fingers, hoping the small blind has something we can get paid off by here. So when he checks it over to me, I'm going to size down a little bit. I'm trying to get a jack to call. I'm trying to get his draws to call now. I make it $45 to go, but unfortunately, he doesn't have anything. He folds his cards and says he was on a draw. So frustrating to not get paid off here. I do show my cards to kind of keep my image that I'm a tight player and try and take advantage of opponents on later hands. It's still nice to win a little pot there after losing so many in a row. Moving on here to the last hand of the night, we look down at the snowmen, pocket eights. There's a few limps over to me. Definitely going to be raising it here. I make it $20 and we get 3 callers. So please, can we flop a set one time? Maybe we can get paid off, win a big hand towards the end of the session. Nope. King 10-7 rainbow. Pretty horrible board for our hand going 4 ways to a flop. When the action checks to me, I'm going to check, and it checks around. So we get to see a free turn card, which is an 8. We hit a set on the turn. That might be better than flopping a set on the flop. Now I'm just hoping somebody has a hand to pay me off. Pretty glad to see when the early position player bets out for $20. I'm definitely going to be raising here, and I decided on a size of $50. I wish I would have gone a little bit bigger, like $60 or $70. But it's not too big of a deal. The early position player puts in the call, so we are heads up to a river, looking for a non-club or a non-board connecting card, and the river is the 3 of clubs. Don't love it, but it's not the worst card in the world. We can't always be scared of the backdoor flush, but I do get a little scared when he leads out into me for $125. This bet looks super strong, but I'm just tired of losing hands. I don't think I can let this one go. We turned a set, and just because the backdoor flush gets in doesn't mean I'm going to fold. I'm frustrated, but I put in the call. And what did you expect? He shows us Jack 4 of clubs. I felt like the deck and the players were all working against me to make me lose. That is just a very sick river. Jack 4 clubs getting in there. We're going to shake off this loss and rack up our chips and get back at it tomorrow. That's it for this vlog. Thank you for watching. It was kind of a brutal session, but we got in for that game for a total of $1,500 and cashed for $293. So a net loss of $1,207. Pretty brutal. That's just how poker works sometimes. You just got to ride with the wins and ride with the losses. I appreciate you guys watching. If you guys want to join the Discord, the link is in the description. And I hope I see you in the next vlog. Laters.